Hello, everybody. It is February 5th, 2025, and I'm here in my studio. It feels so good to be here. I was listening to a little Mumford and Sons music before I started recording. That kind of put me in a good vibe. The last time I was in here painting was January 20th, the evening of January 20th, and y'all have seen this painting before. I've not done anything much to it since my last video. How I have experienced the past 2 weeks may or may not resonate with you, but my art right now is geared toward simply expressing my emotions. I'm not painting cute sunflowers. I'm not painting whimsical bicycles or fun chairs. I'm painting my emotions, and they're personal to each one of us, but some of the things I've been feeling may resonate with you, maybe not. But on the evening of January 20th, I had watched the inauguration on TV with a good bit of interest. And so I came in here and decided it was time to sand my painting back. And so all the pretty colors I had in my last video and a few snapshots I've had of it, I sanded it back to see what would be exposed. And so here you have it. And my thought went to, as I exposed all of these layers before, it was like, and I know, this is personal to me, and you may or may not agree, but my experience when I sanded all those layers back, it brought to mind after the inauguration, it took me back to 2020 and 2021, January 6th, my emotional state of a sense of chaos, confusion. Now, there are beautiful, beautiful places here, beautiful colors. I know it was a beautiful, I believe it was a Tuesday morning, and I had been to a craft shop buying art supplies, and I got in my car and I heard the news of what was going on in Washington, D.C. And so, anyway, in all of this turmoil, emotional turmoil that some of my friends and I have been processing the past couple of weeks, there is so much beauty still in it, so much hope still in it. And so as I'm sitting here and looking at this painting tonight, I'm seeing that. I mean, goodness gracious, there's some beautiful, warm tones. This rough section right in here, I just am fascinated by it, how the sander made it so textured and what is peeping through. But I'm going to be honest with you. Tuesday, January 21st, I was in the shower getting ready for work, and the term "the golden age of America" came to mind. I was just like, the golden age of America. And so before I went to work, I had to come in here, and I put this golden patch right in here, and in the patch is a bit of orange. And I mean, that's my humor to me. You may or may not find it humorous, but the golden age of America, that's in here. That is part of my story. That's where I have been since I was in here last, the things I've been, where I left off. And so I've been gathering a lot of information, listening to the news, being in conversation, trying to understand, make sense of it. And so tonight I want to just kind of start putting some of those feelings down on the panel. Once again, I have no idea what's going to come out, what it's going to look like. But when I was driving home from our church dinner just a little while ago, I was thinking, well, where am I going to start? And something I'm aware of is that I might start getting all bent out of shape over something, and then in the next day or so, give it 24, 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours. Whatever I was upset about has sort of blown over. That's not the case with everything, but some of the things it is. And for an example, right here, so I'm going to start with coffee. Coffee. I remember on Saturday evening, 2 Saturday evenings ago, in the news that there were some immigrants being detained who needed to go to Colombia. That was their home country of origin. And so there was a tariff to be placed on Colombia. And then Colombia refused. Unless their migrants were treated with dignity, they were not going to accept them. And so I said to myself when I went to bed on that Saturday night, I said, well, there goes the price of coffee. Coffee's going up. But then by Monday morning, y'all, it had all been worked out. It was like, the immigrants were on their way to Colombia, and price of coffee was what the price of coffee is. And that's happened several times to me throughout. And so throughout the past 2 weeks, there'll be something that I'm like, well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. And then, by some fluke of whatever, things shift and things change. So anyway, I thought I'd put a little coffee mark. That's not really coffee. It's brown. It's my purple and red, making just a deep, but it's representing coffee to me now. That's one of the first things that I remember about my experience these past 2 weeks. And so once again, I have no agenda. I have no idea of what I want to paint, but just to put colors on here that I think are beautiful. They're beautiful together. Because right now, oh my gosh, my head is telling me things are in a huge disarray. Things are in a huge mess. But I still have this hope. I still have this hope. And so I want to paint that hope. Some beautiful, beautiful colors. The colors that are beautiful to me are what I want to see and think about and feel right now. And so that's what I'm going to work on in this moment. And who knows what will come of all this. But if you want to just hang with me while I paint. I think I want to I got some Mars Black that's really an opaque black. I want to put some of that down. I'm likely to go over it, but I think the contrast, I think it's really important. I know some of my friends in minority groups right now, in vulnerable groups, are feeling pretty dark. So I'm going to put that there as I think about vulnerable people, not only here stateside, but around the world. I have mismanaged funds myself. I've had to cultivate a pretty tight budget this year. This last fall, examining pretty much everything and evaluating if it's worth it. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in 2 weeks. And I can sit there and plan it. I could spend a month or two planning things, but it takes a little while for it to actually pan out in the real world. And I think some of the budget cuts have been thoughtless, reckless. I'm not saying we don't need to do them. I'm not saying we don't need some of them. Maybe some of them needed to be pulled off like a Band-Aid like that. I don't, it's gone too fast for me to process and really think about. But it feels very reckless. And so there you go. That's kind of interesting. This green, this phthalo green, is a translucent paint, so it's kind of neat how it does a wash over some of these other colors. I'll let that purple dry just a little bit. I have no idea, y'all, what this is going to do. I'm just occupying my mind with something I think is beautiful. I do like the phthalo green and yellow together. I think that makes a beautiful color. That's a beautiful spring green, isn't it? There's some of this in here. I've been loving this crimson. I like the crimson by itself. I like the crimson with the pink. You can see it in some of these warmer reds. It's a translucent color too, so things show through. I love those little square box things that popped up under there. That's it looks like a little pea pod. It keeps coming back whenever I sand it back. I see it too. See how pretty that looks against that orange? I love it. So several writers that I follow, they say, if you write during the season, write. Maybe, somebody down the road might appreciate knowing the things that you thought. Because really, truly, y'all, there's nobody in this country that can say we are not in a major upheaval. And so, just to write about it, if there are words, thoughts, poems, quotes that you read or hear or think of, this is a season for artists. And I know I feel vulnerable talking about what's going on with me right now, because I know not all of my friends, not all of my church friends, not all of my community shares the same view that I do. And so, and Facebook, social media can be just an absolute free-for-all. And I don't want to do that or be that, bring that, provoke that. So I want to be careful what I say, how I say it. Because I know I don't have all the answers. Like I told you, Saturday night, I felt like, well, there goes the price of coffee. Monday, it was all kind of worked out. And I know a lot of this is just political posturing. I don't dig that. I don't like it. well, it might get the job done. And some people say, well, how many people are you going to mow over before you get it done? I just think there's got to be a better way. And so I don't know how fed up people are going to become. And in the being fed up, is that going to prompt them to actually take constructive action about wasteful spending, about accountability in the workplace? I have my suspicions about people, but it's not factual. Dale will encourage me, Ann, do we know that to be true? Do you know that to be true? No. It's high drama, and it sure gets me kind of, worked up. Just love these colors right here. I've got some of that blue, that purple and bronze mixed together there. So this painting started out with the name The Golden Age of America. Y'all, I have people close to me who have very, very, very different points of view from me. It's just like amazing. And I know I was had a good friend years ago and just could not see eye to eye. It was just like causing great stress and strife in our relationship. And my dad said, Ann, in that relationship, it's like, I grew up in Huntsville and our TV channels were 19 and 31. He said, it's like going to the TV channel and turning on channel 19, thinking you're watching channel 31, expecting to see channel 31. You're just on two different wavelengths. And it's not that either one is right or wrong or better or worse. Y'all are just, you're on two different wavelengths. And so sometimes we just have to let that go. I enjoy the company of people I'm on the same wavelength with. I appreciate people who are not necessarily on my same wavelength, because honestly, people are not completely off of our wavelength. There are just certain things that are on the same path and certain things that are not. Dale doesn't enjoy painting. I've encouraged him, come in here and paint with me sometime, and that's not his thing. He loves to do woodwork, and I don't do woodwork. And, I can appreciate him doing woodwork. So, our government it was created for checks and balances, because we do all have differences of opinion about how things need to be done or what the best way to do things. Sometimes I will think something's a really good idea and I'll run it by Dale, and he said, well, have you ever thought about this? And so then I think about this, and it's like, okay, and two heads are always better than one. And so I think that's what upsets me most right now is our total disregard for dialogue, conversation. Here, in a painting, you look at what's going to go together. These two are high contrast. And sometimes we do need those high contrast opinions, thoughts, expressions, beliefs in order for each one to stand out and to be true. And there's so much censorship. Like, I feel reluctant to put my friggin' art out here or say the word friggin', But Goodness gracious, we're just human beings. We are built with the capacity to love. We're built with a capacity to have compassion toward other people, to do good things. I'm not going to get on the bandwagon and be critical and say, well, some people just aren't demonstrating that. Well, there are moments when I don't demonstrate it either, I'm just not in a high-powered leadership position affecting the globe. But am I? When I say one snide remark to somebody, how far does that reach, How far does that reach? We talk about that butterfly effect. Let's see how that does if I lap that around a little bit. So to be careful about our words. I think that's something else that bothers me. I appreciate when people are direct. Sarcasm, I've heard as being referenced as scarcasm. For people who have been wounded or who might be fragile emotionally for whatever reason, children, they take things literally. If we go saying these cruel things in jest, it's hurtful. And so why do we have to do it? What are we proving? I don't know. I'm hearing some of my pet peeves right now that I've been experiencing personally, directly, observing indirectly. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think about these things. Philippians. It's a beautiful color. I've got a lot of it right up in there, but I want to put it someplace else. Look over that. Is it too much to the black, does it? I want to wash over that, do something with that orange right there. This pink is translucent. So a little bit of that over it and see what happens. It's pretty. Not over all of it, just some of it. It's a really deep kind of color. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I have no idea if I'm going to sand this back. I might use a hand sander. I might do a wash over some of it. I think that's more where I'm going with this. I'll do a wash. Do a rub and wash. A little bit sticky here. I like how some of these places were looking kind of aged. Just a really patina. It's got some green in there too. I love seeing how that mixes with those colors. Really pretty. The golden age of America. So this is what I have for you tonight. I'm gonna put on some music and paint a little bit more. I'll keep the recording going, but these are my thoughts. I'm in process just like the rest of you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. My daddy fought in World War II in the European theater. And golly, I wish I could talk to him today and ask him what he thinks about all this, what his experience was of the world then. And, those are thoughts that we have. So, anyway, love y'all. Grateful to have paint to come to, colors. Golly, doesn't this look so much better than it did? So much prettier, so much more life. And that's who we are. That's who we really are. That's who we really are. Love you.